Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. This video, I'm going to go over the final starts and sits for Week 15, first week of the fantasy playoffs. We covered the first 8 games in part 1 of this video, and now it's Friday. I'll be covering the final 8 games this week, so hopefully you guys get all your questions answered. If you don't, just let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to give you guys my feedback there. I know yesterday was brutal for a lot of people. I started Brock Purdy in 2 of my 7 fantasy matchups this week, so not a good start there. Fortunately, I had Cup against being one of those 2, so kind of balanced that out. But really, rough start to the week, obviously, with a 50-point over/under turning into a 12-6 game because of all that rain. Not what you want to do to start the week, unless you had like Puka, maybe Kyron, but really nobody else did what you needed them to do. So rough start to the week, but obviously your matchup's not over by any means. We can still make sure we do the right things the rest of the way to make sure we get things rolling here. So yeah, hope we'll just get into it here. Of course, any questions, let me know, and hopefully you guys enjoy. Starting off with the first game here, we're going to go over the Bucks and the Chargers. I'm really hesitant to play Baker in this one. The Chargers are a team that are really slowing the game down quite a bit. The Bucks have actually not been that great passing football lately. You've seen their running game really take a step forward with both Bucky and Rachaad White playing really well. Without Chris Godwin, Kate Otten sort of fallen off a little bit. So it's basically just Mike Evans, who's been like a reliable option for this offense. I don't really want to play Baker if I can avoid it. I would still be playing Mike Evans, and I think Rachaad White is a must start, even if Bucky Irving plays. You're playing Rachaad White regardless here. I'm really hesitant to play Bucky. I know you're going to get a bunch of different advice from people regardless, but I think if you have a similar option, I would look elsewhere than Bucky just because I don't want to get caught with a 0 in my fantasy playoffs. He's going to split touches here even if he plays. I bet it's more of a shift towards Rachaad White. I don't want to go there. Kate Otten, he's an option, but I don't really like it. The Chargers are pretty good against opposing tight ends. For the Chargers, Justin Herbert, he's a really solid streaming option. I feel pretty good about him, although he is banged up just a little bit. Should get Ladd McConkey back this week, though, so I think you can play Justin Herbert. They just don't have a running game either, so I feel pretty good about the passing offense for the Chargers. You can play Quentin Johnson if you need to. Really risky. You're going to need a big play. You're going to need a touchdown, but he has had some of those this season, so if you want to play Quentin Johnson as like a deep league flex, you can. Ladd McConkey, must start, really. He's like a solid low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 for me. I don't want to play either Chargers running back, though. Gus Edwards needs a touchdown to pay off. Kamani Vidal sort of seems to be taking over the snaps in the second half of last week. I just don't want to risk any of that. And then Stone Smart, if you're really desperate at tight end, you can go there, but it feels really bad. I hope you have a better option. Next up here, we got the Colts at the Broncos. For the Colts, Jonathan Taylor's in, but let's limit our expectations here. The Colts offense has not been fantastic lately. There's not a lot of scoring opportunities for him, and also it's a team that doesn't really throw the ball to him anymore, so you really need a big play or a touchdown for that to come through. He hasn't done a whole lot of that lately, but I just can't imagine benching him in the fantasy playoffs. Kind of okay sitting everybody else for the Colts, though. Like Anthony Richardson's just no way for me against a really tough Broncos defense. Josh Downs should play this week, so he's an okay option if you need to go there. But it feels pretty desperate. You're hoping he PPRs his way to being solid. And how many completions is Anthony Richardson really going to have in this game? It's just tough to know. So if you want to play any Colts, I think it's Jonathan Taylor, maybe Josh Downs, and then check out. For the Broncos, Bo Nix, really solid streaming option. I think you can play him for sure. Matchup does not scare me against Indianapolis. I refuse to play any Denver running back. Personally, I don't want to do it. If you forced me to pick one, I would rank them Jaleel McLaughlin, Javonte Williams, and then Audric Estime. But I don't want to do it. I would play McLaughlin if you're at a 16-team league and need a second running back because you have injuries, but it feels really bad. I hope you have better options there. Cortland Sutton, though, he's a must-start. You're playing him. I don't really want to play any other wide receivers for Denver, though, just because we don't know who it's going to be between Vele, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin. It's tough to know which one of those guys will maybe come through. I bet there will be a secondary one that has a decent game. So if you need to, I think it's Marvin Mims, the guy that I would go with. He's just got more upside for a big play. They're using him out of the backfield a little bit more. I think that Mims is the number 2 personally for me, but I don't know. I've always thought Mims was talented and haven't used him the way I wanted to. So if I had my choice, it'd be Nick Sutton and check out for the Broncos here. Next, we got the Patriots visiting the Cardinals. For the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson, a solid low-end running back too. You don't need to play him, but I don't think you need to sit him either. He's just an okay starting option. I wouldn't expect him to win you your week, but he should be good enough that you can play him. I'm okay stopping there for the Patriots, though. Hunter Henry, low-end streaming option. The Cardinals are pretty good against opposing tight ends. Demario Douglas, I don't really want to use him either. He's the wide receiver I'd play if I had to, but again, it's just tough to trust anything in this Patriots offense. Drake May, not a week that I'd be considering streaming him, so I'd prefer to look elsewhere there. For the Cardinals, Kyler Murray feels like a pretty solid starting option. The Patriots defense just is not good. I expect Kyler to bounce back for this team. I do think we can play Kyler as a solid top 10 quarterback this week. James Conner, Trey McBride, they're must-starts. I can't imagine benching another one of those guys. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., really the only question for me. I feel pretty good about him as a wide receiver 3, but he's going to get the Christian Gonzalez matchup. gonna have to probably score a touchdown to come through. He's always got an opportunity to do that, but if he doesn't, he's averaging like 3.5 PP or half PPR points per game in games where he does not score a touchdown. So the floor is really low there. If you need upside, Marvin Harrison has it, but if you need a floor, he doesn't. So it just depends on what you need this week. I don't think you need to sit him, but you don't need to play him either. It just depends on what your options are. For the next up, we got the Bills at the Lions. For the Bills, Josh Allen, he's in. There's no way you're sitting him. I would roll out James Cook again this week. I know last week was a down week, but just, they got to win this game. It's a game they're still fighting to make sure they hold on to that 2 seed ahead of the Steelers. Maybe they're still eyeing the 1 seed behind the Chiefs there. Like the Bills want to win this game. Josh Allen's playing for the MVP. They're going to roll out James Cook. He'll be right back in there. I'm not worried about that. Amari Cooper, Khalil Shakir, both of them feel like decent wide receiver 3s. Amari Cooper had 14 targets last week. I know it didn't turn into a massive game, but he's involved. He's pretty fully integrated into this offense. I know we're going to get Kincaid and Keon Coleman back, but I feel pretty good about Cooper as a solid wide receiver 3. I would be looking to sit Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid. I want to see a good game out of them. Dalton Kincaid hasn't really had a good game yet this season. I don't want to play him at all. Coleman has had some spike weeks, so if you need a desperation flex, he's an option, but I think you can do better there. For the Lions, Monty, Gibbs, Amon-Ra, those guys are in every single week. Not a lot to talk about for those guys. I want to play Sam Laporta and Jameson Williams in this one as well. This is the highest over-under we've had all season, so we're expecting 55 points to be scored in this game. It means basically each team scoring 4 touchdowns. Everybody in this game has a shot at a big play and a touchdown, so I want to get pieces of this game. I feel pretty good about playing Laporta and Jameson Williams. Goff as well feels like a really solid streaming option. You need the touchdowns to go through him, so you're really hoping that Monty doesn't end up with 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns, but I feel like you can stream Goff if you need to. I think he's a solid option. Next up, we got what should be a pretty fun football game between the Steelers and the Eagles, but probably not going to be a whole lot of fantasy value in this one. The Steelers are going to be missing George Pickens, so it's going to limit the fantasy upside for kind of everybody because it's just going to be a low-scoring, grinded-out kind of game between these two teams. Najee Harris, a low-end running back too, I feel pretty solid about, but there's not really any ceiling there for me. The Eagles have been really solid on defense lately. Jalen Warren, desperation play is like a low-end running back option, mainly a PPR play. I could see them trying to use him out of the backfield more as a pass catcher with the limited pass catching options they have, so you can go there if you need to, but again, I hope you have better options. Pat Freiermuth, you can stream him if you need him as well. Should be more involved in the offense with George Pickens out, but again, I'm not expecting this game to be a barn burner, but I still feel pretty solid about him getting like 4 for 40. You're hoping he scores a touchdown. I would not be playing Russ or a wide receiver for the Steelers. For the wide receivers, like it could be Calvin Austin, it could be Van Jefferson, we could see Mike Williams get more involved. I don't know what to tell you guys there, so I just don't want to play any of them. Russ, he's playing really well, but they're going to have to play it close to the vest, just try and, sort of grind this game out. If they win, it'll be like a 20-17 kind of game. I don't think there's an opportunity here for Russ to really go out there and be the reason you win your game. There certainly is the opportunity for him to go out there and throw for 150 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick, and that's going to kill your fantasy matchup. So I don't want to play Russ if I can avoid it. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and A.J. Brown, they're all in. I think A.J. Brown's going to have a bounce-back week just a little bit here. Squeaky wheel narrative a little bit. Last time he played the Steelers, a bit of a monster game. Not going to be like a 200-yard game for him by any means, but I bet he comes through with a touchdown. So I'm playing A.J. Brown, even though obviously it's been rough lately. I've got him in a lot of leagues, so I'm not benched him anywhere, but I understand that it's been tough. I would, however, be sitting Devonta Smith. Had 37 receiving yards last week. He's not a guy that's like super important to the offense right now. And again, I'm expecting a low-scoring game here. I don't really want to play secondary pieces in my wide receiver spot if I can avoid it. Calcaterra, don't really want to go there if I can avoid it as well, but he's a desperation streaming option at the tight end spot. Played 91% of snaps last week. There's potential there for another touchdown, but I'd prefer to avoid him if I can as well. Next up, we got the Sunday Night Football game between the Packers and the Seahawks. For the Packers, Josh Jacobs, he's in. I feel pretty solid about Jordan Love as well. I think he's a fringe top 10 guy. The wide receiver is really tough to read here. If I had to make a guess, I would rank them Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, then Romeo Doubs. But any one of those three could end up being the wide receiver 1 for this team on the week. I think they're all basically flex plays for me. So it depends what you need. If you need upside, I feel like you can play Watson. If you need floor, it might be Dobbs, to be honest. I can't say Jaden Reed has a floor coming off of a game with a 0, but I do think Reed will have a better game this week. But again, like if you want to sit all 3 of those guys, I think that's totally okay. Tucker Kraft, solid starting option as well. I feel pretty good about him as like a top 12 play. For the Seahawks, Geno Smith, he's an okay streaming option. Should be a pretty high-scoring game. I think he's a pretty solid option there. JSN, must start right now. He's playing phenomenal. There's no way you're benching him. DK Metcalf, wide receiver 3 for me. Like he's the wide receiver 2 in the offense now. We need to come to terms with that. He's also playing through a bit of a shoulder injury. He's going to play. He's obviously got a shot at a big play anytime. Decent shot to score touchdowns. So you can play him. I know it's been a rough week lately, but if you need to play DK, you can certainly do that. And then Zach Charbonnet, he's a must-start this week, assuming Kenneth Walker sits. If Kenneth Walker plays, I think Kenneth Walker becomes like a low-end running back 2 for me. I don't think they'd play him if they didn't expect him to be fully involved, but as it sits right now, I'm currently expecting Walker to miss and make Zach Charbonnet a must-start option here. Next up, we got the first of 2 games on Monday Night Football here. We got the Bears going to Minnesota. Sort of a repeat of a game we had 2 weeks ago where it ended up being a super high-scoring game, fun game that went to overtime. Not sure if we'll get that again this week, but I do feel pretty good about the passing attack for the Bears. So DJ Moore and Keenan Allen feel kind of safe. I'd be looking to get those guys into my lineup. Rome Odunze, kind of a boom-bust flex option. You're hoping for a big play or a touchdown. If you are an underdog or something, I think Odunze is a guy you could play, but just understand you could certainly go out there and get you 0. Caleb, he's a boomer bust quarterback stream. Like, again, super wide range of outcomes there. If I'm supposed to win, if I'm favored, I don't really want to play him. But if you're a significant underdog, he's the kind of guy that you could play and potentially drop 304. So it's in the range of outcomes there. But again, just wide range there. I don't want to play a Chicago running back. Sounds like DeAndre Swift's going to be there. Probably not going to have Roshan Johnson, Travis Homer. Don't want to look at that. But this is a really good Vikings run defense. Just doesn't feel very good about it. I'd prefer to bench Swift if I can. For the Vikings, Sam Darnold, he's been awesome, but it does take some stones to start Sam Darnold in the fantasy playoffs against a really tough passing defense in Chicago. That being said, it worked out 2 weeks ago. I think you can stream Sam Darnold. Aaron Jones, he's in. The Bears' run defense is certainly a weakness, so I feel good about Aaron Jones this week. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, no way I'm benching either one of those guys. And then TJ Hawkinson, feels like you can start him as well if you need him. And the last game of the week here, we've got the Falcons at the Raiders. For the Falcons, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, there's no way you're sitting either one of those two. I feel pretty good about Darnell Mooney in this matchup as well. The Raiders are not a pass defense that scares me, so Mooney should probably find his way into your lineup, even though Kirk Cousins has been playing horrible. There's no way I'm playing Kirk Cousins or Kyle Pitts, so just don't even consider it. Raymond McLeod, he's a low-end flex option if you need him. For the Raiders, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers should probably be in. I feel good about both of those guys. And a matchup against, so far, the worst defense against opposing wide receivers this season in the Falcons. You just saw what the Vikings were able to do against them. Addison and Justin Jefferson combined for 5 touchdowns. Like, you're playing pass-catching options for the Raiders this week, even though they're going to have either Aiden O'Connell or Desmond Ridder. Sincere McCormick, he's a low-end running back 2. You're hoping for 20 touches. He's the running back 1 in this offense. You can play him, just understand that it's a bad offense. Not necessarily a special player or anything there, so you can play him, but it's just sort of a desperation play, and that's going to be it for the Raiders there. So that'll do it for the starts and sits for Week 15. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to give you guys a response when I get around to it. Sunday morning, 1 hour before the games kick off as well, I'll go live, answer any start-sit questions you guys have live on YouTube. I'll go over the latest injury updates, make sure you guys have all that information as well. So hopefully I can see you guys there. Hopefully we can sync up and get you guys ready to win some really important matchups here in Week 15, get you guys to round 2 of the playoffs. So appreciate you guys. If you want to make sure you don't miss the live stream or next week's videos or any of that, just make sure you subscribe to the channel that we don't miss future content. If you made it this far in the video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out, and I'll catch you with the next one, guys. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.